Hello there guys. In this video I'm going to be building the RAF version of the B-17G from Airfix in 1/72nd scale. You might have seen my recent videos where I built both a US and an RAF version of the B-17, and the more recent video where I built the resupply vehicle set and built a base for those two aircraft. So this video will focus on the painting and the weathering of the RAF version. Now the RAF used several different versions of the B-17 during World War II. The B-17C was known as the Fortress I and was initially used for daylight bombing operations before it was passed to Coastal Command for long-range maritime patrol operations. The B-17E and F models were known as the Fortress IIA and II respectively, and they were used by Coastal Command in that same role. Now the version we have here, the B-17G, was known as the Fortress III by the RAF, and as far as I can tell it was used by Coastal Command, as I've already described, and Bomber Command in an electronic warfare role. Now there are several Coastal Command paint schemes out there, including this one here which to me looks like it's white, perhaps with the sea grey camouflage on the wingtops, and this one here which looks to me like it's in natural metal finish. Both of these schemes could have been interesting options, but both of the options in the Airfix box represent the Bomber Command Fortress 3s, which were used for the electronic warfare, and therefore both have the standard RAF dark earth and dark green over the night undersides with that high demarcation line. The two options we have are from 223 Squadron, number 100 Bomber Support Group at RAF Oulton in 1944, and the aircraft Take It Easy from 214 Squadron, also number 100 Group, also RAF Oulton 1944. The main difference in these schemes seems to be the nose art for Take It Easy and the black versus the clear fairing over the radar equipment beneath the nose. It's also worth pointing out that although the Airfix instructions don't mention it, some of these Bomber Command B-17s do seem to have had the ball turret still in place. So that could be an option to include it if you'd wanted to. So the role of these electronic warfare aircraft was to disrupt and jam enemy communications to assist regular bombers flying night missions over Europe. Even by early 1944, German air defences were still inflicting a heavy toll on the RAF, and night fighters in particular were a problem due to the developments in radar. For example, in the now infamous raid on Nuremberg in March 1944, Bomber Command lost 105 out of 795 aircraft, a loss rate of over 13%, mostly due to night fighter activity. That means that in a single night, Bomber Command lost over 700 aircrew, more than had been killed during the entire Battle of Britain. These electronic countermeasures aircraft were designed to combat those threats, and they included equipment such as a radar system under the nose, which is what we can see under the fairing, a system called Airborne Cigar, ABC, which was radio jamming equipment, and that's represented by the large aerial on the side of the fuselage. And there was also a system called Jostle, which was designed to disrupt and jam radar and radio communications. And that lived in the bomb bay of the B-17, and in fact the B-17 lent itself perfectly to that device because it was quite a tall device and it had to be kept upright, and so it wasn't really suitable for something like the Lancaster's bomb bay. Some Fortress 3s also had a system called Airborne Grocer, which was a radar jamming system that used large aerials around the tail of the aircraft. You can see those in the reference photos here, although they're not represented in this Airfix kit. Moving on to the painting itself, and I gave the entire underside of the aircraft a coat of black to represent the night paint, and then I used the black also on the upper surfaces, but in a more varied and streaky way to try to give a sort of pre-shading effect to the paint which would come next. As often seems to be the case, I don't think a lot of that showed through, but nevertheless I did attempt it. I really like the AK Real Colours paint, and so I put down their RAF Dark Earth first. This is put down very roughly, I'm making sure, of course, that as a bare minimum I'm covering where the earth should be, but I'm not too bothered if I go beyond that, because we can always overpaint what we don't need. What I tend to do then is, with a copy of the paint scheme on my desk, take some Tamiya masking sheet and roughly sketch out some of the shapes that I need. The goal here being to mask off the brown. And this is why I always keep any offcuts of this masking sheet, because even small pieces can be really helpful. Here I'm just freehanding it. I know it's not going to be exactly as it would be on the instructions, but to me it's close enough. All I need to do is make sure the masking covers the brown and doesn't cover any of the black. Over the years I found this to be quite a useful process. It does use quite a lot of the masking paper, but I think it's more reliable and gives a nicer edge than using things like blue tack or silly putty, or whatever you want to call it. Here we have the aircraft with all of the masking in place, and then with the green applied. You'll notice I've missed off the nose there. That's because I realised I had a seam line that needs filling and sanding before any more painting. And as we remove that masking, hopefully you can see we've got a nice sharp edge there. Always very satisfying. I preferred the nose art of the Take It Easy version here, so that's what I went for, even though, as you'll see later, I did accidentally paint the radar fairing solid black. There are quite a lot of stencils here, so I gave everything a coat of gloss varnish from VMS and then set about applying said decals. There were a couple of times when the locations of various details on the instructions didn't seem to match the location of them on the actual kit, but I did my best. And once all of those decals were down, I gave everything a coat of VMS matte varnish to seal everything in and to protect the paintwork from the weathering. The Galeri marker pens, which I showed you in a recent video, were quite useful here. As you can see, this is the gunmetal version, and it was quite helpful for going over the black painted machine guns. The RAF version doesn't have any front armament compared to the American version, so there's no chin turret and there's no cheek guns either, and the ball turret is also blanked off. But we do have the waist guns and the top turret, and the rear turret. The tail turret is a slightly strange construction. I guess it's done this way because there were several different turrets for the B-17, but it's made entirely from clear parts, so I painted those silver on the inside and black on the outside. One thing I noticed on both this and the US version is the tail turret didn't really fit flush with the fuselage. So you can see that most obviously here because they're all black, but the grey plastic is still showing there in a rim around it. It probably would have been best to try to sand and smooth that out. What I did instead was just paint that rim black to try to blend it in a bit better. Once the propellers were painted and decaled, I sponged on a dark grey colour to try to give some sort of chipping and variation to those propellers. With the whole model being matte varnished, I could now remove the masking tape over the glazing, of which of course is quite a lot on a B-17. And I can now push in and remove the glazing on the waist gun positions after I erroneously fitted those. They don't belong on the RAF version. I always find canopy frames difficult to paint. In this case I used a paintbrush rather than masking an airbrush, and I think I did an okay job. At this point we're really just adding the extra features that really make the B-17 a 17. So the top turret can go into place, the waist guns go in, and here's that aerial I mentioned earlier for the Airborne Cigar system. And that's really our build and painting complete. We just need a small amount of weathering now. I do prefer my aircraft quite clean, as you may know, although the US version in natural metal finish I will go a bit heavier on the weathering for. So in this case I limited myself to some oil paint pin washes. This is a sepia oil paint for the top, or shall I say for the earth and the green colours. Thinned with odourless thinner. The wash still flows reasonably well, and I can blend any excess backwards in the direction of airflow. Using a panel line wash on the black paint is a bit harder. This sepia paint is just too dark, it won't show up at all. And in the past, for aircraft which have been completely black, like nightfighters, I have used a light sort of neutral grey buff colour to represent dust as a panel line wash. But in the case of this scheme, where you have the camouflage running straight into the black, it just looks a bit odd, I think, if you do that. If you've got a sort of a black panel line wash, and then in the middle of an aircraft section, suddenly it goes to a light dust colour. So although I'm still looking for an ideal solution, in this case I decided just to leave the panel line wash off for the dark section, the black section, which meant that at this point my model was complete. So there we go guys, that was my Airfix B-17G, built and painted as an RAF Fortress III for electronic countermeasures. I hope you enjoyed this build. I do like these slightly unusual uses and slightly unusual paint schemes for common aircraft, and I think a B-17 in RAF colours is really interesting. The history of these electronic countermeasures aircraft is really interesting as well. All kinds of things were tried by the RAF during World War II. There was another system called tinsel, which involved a microphone near one of the engines, which would basically just broadcast engine sound to the Germans on their own frequencies to confuse them. And there was another system, I forget the official name, but it was called Ghost Voice, I think, which was basically an Allied soldier, but who was a fluent German speaker, broadcasting commands, instructions to German night fighters, again on their own frequencies. It's quite an interesting sort of area of operations. Anyway, I hope you enjoyed this video. As you may have gathered, I've got another B-17 to do, this time in US markings, although that won't be my next video, I don't think. I would like to say thank you to all of you for watching, and special thanks to my Patreon supporters and YouTube members who support my channel on a monthly basis. Thank you very much guys, it is massively appreciated. I will be back next week with a slightly different video. Until that time, thank you again for watching and have fun modelling.